computer. All right, there we go. We're recording. Welcome, everyone, to the June 9th iteration of the MicroProfile Live Hangout. The link to the meeting minutes are in the note, so if you're on the call, please click on the link and add your name to the list of meeting contributors. It is everyone's shared responsibility to take notes. Let's see, this meeting is being recorded and the contents of the chat will also be saved along with the recording. And I think that's the usual spiel. I don't think I forgot anything. Okay, so scrolling up here. So MicroProfile, you know, we're still working on working group membership. So the end of July is likely not going to happen, which was optimistic anyway. But one of the things we've kind of been banding about as an idea is to consider just building a milestone release. The way I look at it right now is, I mean, me personally, I just like to capture the work we've got and create a milestone release out of it. You know, open to other ideas as well.
John, why milestone and not release candidate?
Yeah, actually, it would be the way I see it is, yeah, a release candidate. That's a good point. That's how I would see it.
When basically it's like I think it's a good thing to do so that individual MicroProfile spec have an urge to like do their RC1 by the end of July. So when you say it's a MicroProfile for as a RC, so like you're thinking in like August sometime.
Oh, well.
Out like maybe the August can do a RC1 or the first week of August or something like that.
Well, we can cut an RC1 whenever we want.
Yeah, I know, but we want to get the RC1 including other RC1s, right? So
true. That would be ideal, not required, because an RC2 can also encapsulate other RCs. But that's a good point. That is preferred.
Well, that's part of the question, though, right, John?
Yeah.
Because the content of the MicroProfile 4.0 release 1 would be other release candidates of the component specs. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then would we, you know, almost have like a mini release cycle to find out, okay, which of the other component releases would be ready? You know, I don't know, by such and such date? Is that the idea? I don't know. I'm just brainstorming.
Yeah, I think if we say we want to do a RC1, for this one is particularly important is because we are going to change the like dependencies on from Java EE to Jakarta EE, right? So ideally, we just bring in one Maven coordinate like Jakarta EE. So all the spec need to release the RC1 by the end of July. So I think this is kind of still sync up with what we have said in the past is all the spec, and maybe we need to send a message clear say all the spec by the end of July you need to do a RC1, right? The minimum change that would be a kind of a level up their Jakarta. So that issue needs to be fixed, delivered, but they can continue to add more things as we go. However, the RC1 will have all the spec have this change their like Jakarta dependency.
Actually, I thought that we agreed on end of June for this.
No, not July.
This is what I'm counting with.
The new date is July.
Well, that just gives me a little bit more time.
Yes.
Yeah, we had moved the planned, you know, release date, yeah, to the end of July, which we knew was
tentative and
optimistic.
the blog was written so that we would update everyone, and the blog is going, the release blog is going every week, once on Tuesdays. And if we, John, if we're talking about having milestone release, I think we will need more feedback, but that would be an amazing way for us to update the blog and introduce that concept. If it is a go. My question is, we have never done one that is like formalized, and instead of, you know, it would be like kind of like a companion to the regular release. So what will be the expectations? Because without expectations, we don't know how to help, or at least those ones that code and are working in different specifications. So, right?
I mean, we've done candidate, actually, we're not milestones. I used the wrong word. These are candidate releases, right? And we've done platform candidate releases before. We always try and do at least one. So the expectation is that each of the component specs will have more or less finalized, right, their releases, although they may have to up them for clarifications or whatever based on the feedback from the CR, right? So if you have a CR1, people are going to review it, take a look at it. If there's any incremental updates or clarifications that need to be made, then you can have a CR2. You know, then we work our way towards an actual release. So these CRs would be kind of a consolidation of all the work done to date that is darn near final, right? Close to final.
So the only difference in the past, we do RC, we know when we are going to release. This time we do RC without knowing when the final release will be done. So that's the only difference, Amelia.
That is correct.
So then this will have no end line, because we do not know. It will be better for us based on what we just learned, that the process is going to be slow. This is going to be an ongoing RC1 release. Is that the kind of thing we want for MP4?
Well, it's going to be an ongoing, how do I say this? It's as ongoing as it needs to be, in the sense that, you know, once we have a CR1, if we think we need a CR2, again, based on feedback from the component specs and their need to update, then we could do a platform level CR2. Typically, that's all we've ever needed to do. And then we just be at a CR, you know, a CR1 or a CR2, depending on what's ever needed, until we have a working group established. In the meantime, each of the implementations can build upstream versions, you know, CR versions of their implementations, right? Based on the CR versions of the spec. If they find that useful and interesting.
When I have a question, when we have done the RC1s, because I know we have done them before, but not replacing the main releases, what was the feedback from the users? Do we get any? Do we have it documented? How did it benefit us? I mean, how did it benefit MicroProfile code in usability and adaptability?
Yeah, I would say we didn't get a lot of external feedback, but we definitely found issues as we were building these RC1s, and then we would investigate them and take a look at them more internally, and we would find problems that needed to be resolved. And that's why, you know, I know we've done RC2s. I don't know if we've went as far as an RC3 before or not, John. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That far, but you know, they have proven useful. So yes, we're kind of considering this as extending that, because in the past, when we used these RCs, it was mainly just for us to ensure that we had all of our ducks in a row before we did the final release. And what we're going to be doing this time is more of, you know, like I don't know if you want to call it a preliminary announcement or whatever, but be a little more vocal that we do have this available for, you know, users to start experimenting with. So, you know, if you want to call it a beta or whatever, but, you know, that concept is trying to make it more external and not just an internal mechanism for us.
Yeah, where it's come in handy has been in cross-spec integration. right?
Yeah.
And so that's where some of the internal feedback comes in. And you know, when it comes to trying things out, typically people will have to try them out via implementations that are, you know, building towards a final release that'll support the final specs. So it would have to be done via an implementations, you know, support of the CRs, right? In their CR versions or whatever milestone builds or whatever of the implementations.
Well,
Yeah, plus
and
I
even-
think that will be a little bit tricky because most of the times implementations are not used standalone, right? So they are integrated in other platforms. So it's kind of like a snowball, right, of CRs going from CR of API, CR of implementation, and CR of the integration platform that's also actually using those implementations, right?
Yeah, I mean, however you want to do it, it could be an unsupported technology preview feature, right? However, implementations, you know, decide that they want to do things, if they want to do anything at all, right? My only point is, you know, there's nothing really for the end users to try out from a MicroProfile spec perspective, but they can from implementations if there are implementations that decide they somehow want to consume the updated specs.
So then let me, this is a fantastic explanation of how RC1 is used, especially by Kevin. I have a question. So then we are thinking about mostly for developers, because the ones that check out new features or what is coming next are the developers. Those ones that are up to date with the latest, more fun on MicroProfile, for example. So I think the message, should we decide that is, like, on my view, based on what I am hearing, this seems to be a huge +1 onto not only MP4 release, but future releases. We should have been doing this often for at least one of the main of what is it, maybe June release or October release. Because if we are educating and we are talking about it and figuring out things, this is a huge plus, not only for MicroProfile ecosystem, but for anyone out there who wants to help, who wants to use the system, because it traces well and enables us to educate ourselves on what doesn't work. So +1 from my book.
Okay, good. Thanks. Just to clarify something, Amelia, though, you know, in the past, we were doing 3 releases per year, so there really wasn't a whole lot of time to do RCs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now because of this void that, you know, has been forced upon us, we're kind of like, we're trying to fill that void with something that we can actually, you know, show some progress with.
Yes, it is amazing. 3 months ago, we were concerned about those MicroProfilers that were not interested in collaborating in the working group, that are trusting many of us to do the work. They just want to code. So this is a great message to those ones, especially those ones that are all into code.
So Emily, I think you were going to bring up a point earlier, and there was like 4 of us trying to talk. So.
I was just trying to say, actually we have been doing RC all the time. So this time is kind of, in the past we have a short-lived RC, and this time we have a longer RC period. However, when we work out the release date, and when we work out release date, we need to do a final RC, and then we can do a final release. Like if we done the RC1, RC2, when we work out the a release date, and then we need to do a RC3 and then do a final release. So
Emily, Emily, sorry to cut you, but let me clarify this. When you said we, you mean the MicroProfile config? Because the config,
not about config. I'm at the moment talking about the umbrella release.
Oh.
Talking about MicroProfile for all RCs.
Yeah, this one is new, but I'm talking, like what Kevin said, in the past, we didn't have the bandwidth to do RCs.
No, we have done RCs.
Yeah, we've done RCs. We just didn't have the bandwidth to expand it into something that, you know, external people would try to use.
Yes, that's what I mean, like uncompleted.
And then even with this, we still don't know whether the external people will use it, but maybe they will. So basically, it's the main difference is between the RC and the final release, there's a long period. So previously they don't have to, because it's only a couple of weeks. I mean, between the RC and the final. Now is the RC and the final, we don't know how many weeks or how many months. So,
also remember that a lot, I mean, I cannot vouch for all the specs, but at least on JOT and config, and I know that some other specs, most of the work was already done on the implementation first. So what the end users are going to see is not different from what they already seen on the implementation side of things. What might change is a couple of methods here and there, package names, and not so much. So, for instance, on config and JOT, most of the implementations were already providing the new stuff that's coming on 4.0, and that's actually how you're doing the previews. Is actually doing the work on the implementation first and then passing them to MicroProfile. So I wouldn't expect to gather that much feedback from this.
So the only difference, Roberto, is this is the only difference is you do the umbrella RC. So some other like runtime, such as for example, OpenLiberty, they could do a kind of beta and then adopt MicroProfile for all RC1. So basically it's like a support all of these RCs, like a config, fault tolerance, and etc. Is so this is kind of a convenient way to like promote the whole MicroProfile for all. But anyway, that's a kind of just a provide option. The other thing is for doing this RC, just encourage spec to not be late. If they need to like be ready by the end of July.
All right, so I just stuck in some dates. We could discuss these dates if we don't think these are appropriate. But these are, I think, reasonable. I hope. If not,
I would like, because we released the blog. We said by the end of July. I would think it's a component spec target RC is at the end of July, and then platform is kind of at the end of beginning of the August, like the first week of August, such as 5th August or something like that. Because we are not in a rush. I mean, have how many days? 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks. I don't know why you need 2 weeks between the platform and the component spec.
it's typically what we've been doing. It doesn't have to, for this particular release. It doesn't have to be. Typically, we like at least a week, because of all the marketing stuff that gets involved. That's for candidate release. I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, so if we're going to add it in the calendar and there are no no's, do we consider this a conversation to be a go for it, as this is a continuation of progress for the release? Do we want to go and send the information to the forum? And also, once we get, what do we want to do with this information in this exchange? Do we decide we will update the blog and just add this part with the get, like address into the blog that is going weekly without changing the title, because we have it scheduled until July 31st now? Or do we want to wait for community or microprofilers feedback via the forum? What do we do? Because this call is great, but I don't think it's enough to adjust the blog. And we need, at least to get some consensus by the community. Those ones not attending, that will not get to see the video until they know what to look for.
I think we need to send. Send a Google group email. So tell the specs to do releases, because they need to do releases. They need to do RCs.
Mm-hmm. So then we're going to inform instead of ask
Mhm.
them what they think. Informing seems the best way to go because it's add value, correct? Is that what we're agreeing?
Well, there's some that have stated in the past that they really prefer the forums be made as decision-making points.
Mm-hmm.
When we get steering committees in the working group, that'll be a different scenario. But for these weekly, bi-weekly live hangouts, that was the preference because not everyone can make these meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have no problem starting a thread on this saying, and based on Emily's feedback, right, we could say the component specs are July 30th and then whatever, August 7th or whatever the, 1 week out is. I think it's 30 days, right? That would be the RC1 kind of release date. I'm okay with that. And we could stick that out there in the Google group and see if anyone has comments on that.
Okay, and then can we give it like a week or so, and then we can update? Should there be no negatives in the level of what is the value of these or whatever, clarifications, we can update the blog based on the thread. Is that cool? Because this will be a part of the blog consumption, the thread conversation that updates the sentence of two. But I don't think we have 2 weeks. I think we need to match a deadline so that it welcomes every MicroProfile to provide feedback should they have it. That would be my recommendation.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Was it clear, Emily? Maybe you didn't.
I just, I'm reading the blog at the moment. I don't think we need to update the blog at this point in time. I think
I am talking about, Emily, sorry about this. I'm talking about once we send the information, not informing, but actually gathering some feedback, maybe in 10 days or something, we use that thread to update and add RC1 as a concept that is progressing the release. And instead of being a halt and being considered July 30th as the last day. In the blog, we actually state the last day to provide any contributions of code is July 31st. That means that that section needs to be adjusted to RC1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is what I mean. Can we decide on a date? Like say, next community call is going to be too late. But maybe we have a working group next week and that would be enough, maybe 10 days.
We could also wrap it up on the list, right? If nobody objects, then...
Exactly. I am saying write it up in the email and put a date and time, PDT, and move on. Make it simpler, easier, and very effective. That would be my preference, of course.
John, you said you'd already put out a thread on it, right?
No.
No. I have to start a thread.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant to say, that you will start a thread. So if anybody wants to give feedback, they can. And if we don't get any feedback, then we've got our dates.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds
okay.
Good.
I think we're okay here. Some anonymous person added this one because they didn't follow the rules. They didn't follow the rules.
John, I am there.
So the rules typically say that you have to lead with the name or else it's skipped.
Oh, sorry, you guys. This is just about the AED. No excuses. I'm just adding it to the. Sorry, I just added my initials. Thanks, John. I will do better.
Go ahead. What's up? You already covered this, right? So we're okay with that.
Yeah, it's covered.
Okay. Let's see, Emily.
Yeah. So it's actually it's since like I brought this up a few times. Like context propagation was created just because fault tolerance want to do the context propagation. However, it's in a standalone release, and then now it's because the working group issue and etc. We kind of put that on hold about how can we deal with these standalone releases and etc. However, we would like to integrate, fault tolerance would like to integrate with context propagation. So actually there's a couple the choices we can do, like make this integration optional before the context propagation is merged into umbrella release. Or the other clean way is wait for the kind of merge to happen and then do integration. So I think it would be cool if we can do some work. Basically, the kind of take make a best reuse the context propagation to make fault tolerance even more powerful. So I think this is not only fault tolerance, is some other spec want to use the standalone releases for the context propagation as well. So we need to agree on whether it's okay. We can do the integration, however, make it optional for the time being, and then kind of change it to be mandatory once we sort out the umbrella release.
Comments?
Yeah, I like your option 1. Make it optional.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's a pick.
Kevin has decreed it's optional.
Yeah.
I could get behind optional as well. There you go. So you get a flood of feedback.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Okay, we carry on. The other item is also I have been it's James on the call. It's not.
Well, but before you switch that, send out a note on the Google group thread in saying this is, this was discussed. We preferred option 1. Any additional feedback before we, move forward?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we just kind of this is kind of across the board, so that other specs can adopt the same pattern. Okay. Do that.
Great. Thank you.
On that topic, REST client has kind of a similar situation where it kind of has I guess an optional dependency on reactive streams, which is part of the reactive streams operators spec, which isn't in the umbrella. So we're kind of doing the same thing, if that helps.
So you already have an optional dependency on that?
Yeah, because there's nothing in the API that depends on it. It's more of if a user wants to implement server sent events, then they would use the reactive streams API to do it. But it's that, I mean, that whole feature is entirely optional.
Right. That need to be in the spec. We need to especially mention, and it's optional, and it's kind of in the integration part. Yeah, we take a look at your kind of spec. We see whether I have any comments and etc. I think it's important we kind of have we use exactly same pattern.
Sure.
I assume this is the kind of the upcoming releases, or you already released.
This is for the upcoming REST Client 2.0 release.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Andy.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, so yeah, we will come up with similar headings and etc. so that people read different specs. If they have read one, when they read the other one, they know exactly what to expect. Okay. Okay, for the other subject, Ryan is not on the call, is it? Ryan?
He was.
He is.
Okay.
He is. Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
So this is the atom I have been talking with you. Basically, quite a few people talked to me regarding the MicroProfile.io. So basically, they want one page to list all the released specs. For example, like a MicroProfile.io, they want to see it included this kind of 12 specs, and is about 16 specs. And each spec like a config 1.1, and then it has like a spec PDF, and then 1.3 has spec PDF. Basically, for end users, when they look at their like code, and then they find out they use config 1.3, they want to like also use like a REST client 1.3, for example. They want to go to one single place and then trying to figure out what the spec doc. So basically, I would like get some help from Ryan to see whether we can like come up with a page to aggregate all these kind of release the specs. So one central place, and the user can come and to get everything they need.
So Emily, before Ryan goes, let me interject you here because that is a miscellaneous about projects and the need for updates that you were talking about. We and the marketing committee yesterday went through the minutes, and I know this topic is
marketing call, by the way.
What is it?
Call, not committee.
Yeah, the call. We went into the call and we did the inventory, and the miscellaneous actually says it's not about, the issue here is not about having Ryan or Ed or any designer from up here do these updates and continue to do so. It is about the projects page being updated so that it mirrors Git activity. And it currently is not. No, not under resources, under projects. If you click projects, it has only 22 or 23 repos. It doesn't contain all the newest. It has not been updated for a year because this used to be, it should be automatic. So we need to find a way for this page not only to have the latest, the 25 repos that are active in MicroProfile, but also, and instead of having the Facebook and Twitter, have the calendar update, you know, like a calendar link, any, like the minutes agenda links, any access that will make not only the users friendly activity to say, hey, I want to use this, but also the committers or any new committer come in and navigate and know who is active, because this has not been updated for over a year.
Okay, hold on. So this page that we're looking at is made by a bunch of groovy code no one knows how to maintain. So, so I'm not super thrilled about putting it on our to-do list to
Correct.
Improvements, considering we got Jakarta E9 going on, we got all of our other stuff to do. However, even if the specifications were linked behind these, I think what Emily was asking for was like a single page you could look for to see them all. And I kind of think that that's an awesome idea also.
So we can,
yeah.
You know, so like on the WordPress side, if there was a page for like flip to the front page of MicroProfile.
And thanks, John, for like totally like optimizing.
So like right now it says more information, you click on it, where does it take you?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So what about instead of this page, there is a branded page that has these links and all of the specification PDFs?
Yes, that's what
MicroProfile.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
I think we, Emily, didn't we already come up with like a rough look of it, or at least some references?
Yeah, you have some references and etc. And then
do you remember the number of that ticket?
I closed it, but I can reopen it. And it was because I thought we were talking about the projects page. Actually, when I went through it, it linked to the projects page.
No, it really just needs to be like, it could be a page dedicated to MicroProfile 3.3 and have the link to the PDF, like not this page, but the link to the actual PDF.
Yes.
And then the link to all the other PDFs for this component specifications in some sort of list or multi-boxed table, or however Ryan wants to lay it out. But it's basically, here's the master umbrella spec, and here's the list of all the related specs.
So, yes. And now, will these links update often, or is it safe that it'll just kind of
3 times a year?
Yeah.
So we'd have to hear, and do you have to? So we'd have to go back and manually update, or the links?
No, only go forward. So when you make the new one, you would copy the old page, you'd update a couple links, and then that would be.
Perfect.
Or it could be, could you just tag it latest, and you know, see the latest spec?
It's not difficult to. So first of all, when we have a branded page, and that we're making them regularly, there's no way that Ryan would ever be able to skip the copy paste aspect of it, because he has to change version numbers, change little details on there. So to update a couple links is not really that difficult. In fact, any of us could do it. He could make the page. We could go up and update the page ourselves with the links, you know, with the version numbers themselves.
All right.
Yeah. So this is when we do another for all release, like the one task for the marketing is to update this, update the links. It's important to keep the previous release, because not everyone will be on the latest, right? If they are on the 3.2, they can like to see, oh, okay, I want a PDF for 3.2, so they can still go there.
We could make the page for 3.3. There would be no page for the previous ones, because unless someone wants to do the work. But, you know, we could make the page for 3.3, and then we're all set for the coming. At a leisurely timeline, we could make the one for the 3.3, right? Because it's not like, you know, we could anytime in the next month or something like that.
So Emily, Ryan, the tickets is added into the agenda and also reopened. And I have updated also that the project page cannot be a project that we are willing to undertake because it's not written in Java. And the two are totally different. I was totally combining the two, thinking we will just totally destroy that page that is currently projects.
Yeah.
But if we cannot, you know, Tommy Tribe cannot own that task alone. It needs to be something that can be done by the community and plug via PRs and things like this. But what Emily suggests, and she already worked with Ryan, if it's doable, and we can use the marketing repo space for future updates, that is consumable.
Right.
In the
So I think, you know, we should maybe discuss this during the next marketing call. And if you want, Ryan, I don't know if you're going to create a mock of it, or just, if it's easy, just as easy just to do the thing.
I'll look at the ticket again and kind of refresh on it, and then probably put a couple questions and comments into the ticket. And then by the time the marketing call comes, it should be pretty clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good suggestion, Emily.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, David.
Emily, it's super awesome because updating those Git issues totally got us here. I didn't even remember that ticket until I saw it. So
until you closed it, apparently.
I saw it and I was like, Emily and Ryan are okay. Projects page. That's what I think.
Sorry, moving along. I'm watching the clock here, just being mindful of everyone's time. Miscellaneous. Amelia.
We already discussed it. It's covered. It's linked to the above thing.
Okay. And moving on to the working group discussion, still having discussions. We have another call that we want to set up. I don't think that's been set up quite yet, has it, Kevin? With Paul?
Nope, not yet.
So there's some ideas kind of being bandied about, and when we can, we'll give everyone an update. So that's really all I kind of have on the agenda. Are there any other agenda items?
So I have a question on this work group. Is it held up in the by us, or held up? Is it like how many issues, outstanding issues do we have?
It has to mainly deal with membership, which also ties a bit into budget. There's a budget aspect to it. You know, a lot of budgets are frozen right now, right? So it's those two things, and so we're trying to find workarounds, right? Ways that we can continue to move forward.
And is it possible for us to recap the status from 2 weeks ago on what the issues are? Because we're being very vague, and we have time to do a formal summary of where we are. My recommendation is to do
very simple. We need 5 people in the working group before we could release 4.0. We need established budget. And there is a tricky thing trying to get additional budget in 2020 because we're halfway in already and budgeting's already closed. And this is the year that there's a global pandemic going on, so budgets are not exactly loose. How's that for a summary?
Perfect.
So, all right, that is where we are as of right now. Next week, I am, unless we have changes in the status of the working group, I'll probably cancel next week's working group call. And pretty soon, I think we're going to time out because I think I only had them through the end of end of June. But let's count on canceling next week's meeting. I'll leave it up there and cancel it probably as we get closer. So just a heads up, unless things change.
And one update also, we have not updated the standalone chapter at all. We closed version 0.2 to VO3, and it's about budget, but we have not done any adjustments. If anyone were to watch the document 1 month ago, it is still intact. That is from my side. And I did add some changes from just as tags for the blog and tracing, but that is just my minutia in the footer and header side of the things. Just formal update on that document that is linked here.
All right. I think with that, we can call it a wrap. We're going to let Edwin get back to his vacation, and everyone else enjoy the remainder of your time, and we'll see everyone in likely 2 weeks. Right? Same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.
See you, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye.